It's been several times. I think this is our third time. Third time's a charm. It's great to catch up. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Nice to meet
Yeah,
you properly.
absolutely. So let's get into, before we get into your work, what's going on with you lately. I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing all of our lives, especially musicians. How did you get through that pandemic time, and how has it affected the way that you approach music and life here in 2025?
Um, well, just before all the lockdown, I think I got just lucky in one way that I was finishing a big tour, and maybe I had to cancel two concerts of that tour. And on that tour, one of the last concerts, we actually filmed it and recorded it. So then, of course, the lockdown happened, and you think for a month or two, what can you do? Or enjoy the sunshine and try to have some idea coming up. And so a few things happen is that I was able to mix and make a live album of one of our show, and then I did some solo guitar album at the same time. And I had anyway a new album coming out. So I made a triple album called Magnificent. And of course, this took quite a few months to do it. And I thought, oh, I'm mixing it myself. I have a lot of time. I learn a lot of techniques, and I learn how to master it and then make the album. And so when things open up again, I had a lovely album for sale, a triple album. And that was actually still nowadays I sell that record because I'm still promoting it. So that was one thing.
Yeah.
And then of course at some point you miss playing with people and as a musician. So then I thought, well, maybe I can invite one musician at a time and do some live streaming, which I did a lot. I started playing solo guitar, and I did it for my friends, and then they told me what to improve, what gear to have, and so on and so forth. And then I ended up having for a good 3 years a Thursday live streaming show, 1 at 2, 1 at 5, and that was kind of my way to to give back my music to people who are lonely, who are depressed. So that was the idea. I had a big mailing list of people who likes to see me, and I said, well, the idea, I'm playing music for you. If you don't have money, if you don't have work, don't pay. Just watch it, and hopefully it gives you some happiness. And if you do work, then do give something, and then I'll share it to the musician. And I think I did. For a good 3 years. I even did a guitar festival for two weeks. I had shows every day, and I invited all the guitar player I could who lives around me. And there was, of course, duos, a few trios, and we got some sponsorship from people who give a bit more. It was always on donations, so that went quite well. And so it was great to see all the guitar player, which of course as a guitar player you don't meet many guitar players. You're usually on the job, but that was a great thing to have all the guitar player I knew of, and then meet and chat and see how they were dealing with the situation. So that made me survive, basically.
Excellent. So what's going on with you lately? What's going on with you with touring, with projects? What's happening?
So I had a lovely, until June, I had a lovely time, a lot of nice touring. I made an album called Last Sunset, and this album was my tribute or my memories of the time I had with Jeff Beck. So I was 3 years with Jeff Beck in his band 10 years ago, and of course the sadness and of the news that he passed. And we recorded a lot of songs, and I wrote a lot of music when I was with him. We did record it, but it was never properly released. So I thought, well, I'm gonna release that music and re-record it again. So I had Vinny Colaiuta on drums, Jimmy Haslip on bass. I had also Gary Husband on drums, and a few other friends Lizzie Ball on violin. So I made a bit more of a fusion rock album in the style of, or in the sound of Jeff Beck with my own touch. I'm a bit more fusion oriented, more modern that way. So that was really fun to do it. And I was able to release that album and do a bit of touring in Europe and in here. And that was really fun to do. So that was one of the things. And then since the pandemic, I kept touring Magnificent, mainly in England, a little bit in Europe. And that was great. And this summer, I meant to have, of course, that's how I think we properly met. I had this lovely collaboration with Ola Onabule, great singer, great songwriter. And it's been a great work for a year and a half, building it, making it. And I was really excited about it. We even had a few concerts booked and release dates. And everything meant to go well until they decided to throw it all in the bin. For weird reason, I had a bit of success with the agent. We had a common agent together, and the agent was also interested about my own project. And so when I start to talk about the interest I had, I think they didn't like it. That's what I think. And one day they bin it all, and that was it. So wow. Unfortunately, it was a year and a half of work, and I think the songs are really beautiful, and we had gigs in the book. It meant to be all okay, but some people don't work like this, unfortunately, and I didn't foresee that. So it's been a really sad ending, and now I'm coming out of it, and hopefully I'll flourish again.
Absolutely, I have no doubt. So let's go to the beginnings of your life. Take me to the beginning. How did the guitar, how did music, jazz, all these different blends of genres, how did all of this begin and become your career?
Well, my father was into jazz. He saw Coltrane, Miles, and Monk live in Paris. So he was a jazz lover, and my mom too likes jazz, but like also classical music. So in our house, we listen a lot of this, a lot of nice LPs. And they also, of course, push all their children to learn music. My sister and brother did piano. I did flutes, simple flutes at the beginning. And then I was doing okay in school, so they said, well, choose another instrument, go for it. That was around 11 years old. And I chose guitar. And I had a fantastic teacher, Francis Coletta from France. And I think after 1 year, I told my dad, well, that's what I'm going to do. Play music, play guitar. And he said, oh, that's interesting. Let's see. So we end up having a bit of a deal that finish high school, finish your college, and then you can go to music school in Boston. But during all this time, finishing high school and finishing college, of course, I had a lot of time to practice and get into music before I went to Boston. And the other great thing, we live in Fribourg, and this is close to Montreux, where there's the famous Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland. And of course, I saw many, many great concerts there, including one of my favorite was the Brecker Brother live with Mike Stern. And well, all in all, yeah, it makes it all. And also, I was always interested in the Spanish sound, North African sound, and later on I met my wife who's Turkish. So this opened many more doors and sound to my ear, and it's just wonderful sound. It's different language. It's still all music, but a different language, and I got so into it. And me, especially coming from Iron Maiden and Metallica and loving that sound, and then getting pushed into Jobim, the Latin music, and then pushed into flamenco, Paco de Lucia, Aldi Meola. There's so much, and I end up liking everything. And of course, as you probably know, learning one style or one instrument is already, you can spend your life on it. suddenly I had all these things coming up to me. And I just thought at the end, I, you can only play as good as you can. So I grab all the influence and I make something out of it. And I think that has been for the last 30 years what I did with making albums, composing music, putting band together, and trying to have a little bit of something different than everyone else. Of course, that's really difficult, and other people should tell you this. But yeah, composing has been great, and trying to play guitar, fretless guitar, or different type of guitar, and make a different sound out of it from other people. It's been really fun journey.
So take me back to the first time you saw a guitar on stage being played in a way that made you think, I want to do that. I want to be up there one day.
Excellent. Well, he was actually, my father brought me to Montreux Jazz Festival, and Carlos Santana was playing
Wow.
with Wayne Shorter.
Wow.
And that was quite a mix, Carlos Santana and Wayne Shorter. But it was quite interesting. I was quite young there, so it was a little bit weird to me to see Wayne Shorter playing with Carlos. Such a different angle to the music, but interesting. And on that night, the late show was Joe Satriani playing his show. He was opening his I think his European tour for Surfing with the Alien,
Wow.
and that show was not advertised. He just came up and say, "Well, can we play this show? That's a warm-up show for our tour." And of course, I told my parents, "I'm staying, even if it's 2 in the morning. I'm staying watching the show."
Yeah.
And so I think, even though Carlos Santana, of course, he's a god, guitar god. At that time, I was into Joe Satriani. I just had the Surfing with the Alien, and just seeing the trio. And I think now they capture it on video, so it's out there on video. So I was at that show.
That's
But that
awesome.
was really, really special. And probably close to that when I saw Mike Stern with the Brecker Brother,
Yeah.
and and then so many more. And Metheny probably came. Pat Metheny came a little bit later, but that was also probably Metheny is my favorite in terms of as a composer and as an individual way of playing guitar. Always thinking out of the box. It's just great.
Yeah, and during the pandemic in January 2020, I moved to the hometown from where he's from in Lee Summit, Missouri.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, a lot of history with him. And during the pandemic, they released a book, an author locally, about all of the years prior to him leaving to New York. So all the Kansas City roots that he had, and it's amazing how active he was at such a young age. So he
Yes,
was destined, that's for sure.
yes, wonderful.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. The one thing, speaking of guitar gods, like you mentioned Mike Stern and all of these other players that you've seen, being on tour with Jeff Beck to see that level of artistry all the time. And the thing about the legendary players is there's one thing about them being on stage, but they also embody the spirit as a human being. What was it like to be around somebody like him? What did you learn ultimately as a human being and more importantly as a musician?
Hmm. Well, what struck me first is that he asked me to join and to jam, and he was interested in what I was doing, and I was like, well, that's really weird. I mean, million of guitar player would like to be in my spot, and I'm there. And then after some times, I felt he was very respectful, and uh, and when we were playing, I felt at a nice level where he was bringing something, I could also bring something in. And the fact that he was interested in my love of Turkish music and fretless guitar, and also the way I was writing made me feel really good that I was bringing something to the table when you think this guy brought so much, not to the table, to the world. And with time, I could really see that he was always hungry of new voices, of new influence, and of new sound, and he would he would sometimes get bored of playing the same songs. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. What shall I do? And then we would just talk about it. And why don't you try this or this technique or this sort of sound? Why not? Let's try. So always eager to try new things. So that was great. And then, of course, my role was to get a new product or a new sound out together, but was also at the end to support him and make him feel as comfortable as possible. And of course, for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years before I joined, he was with Jason Rebello on keys, and that was a wonderful time, especially with Ronnie Scott DVD and the way Jason is playing, wonderful. So I could also feel he was looking for something different than all this time he did with Jason and keys. He wanted to actually almost get rid of the sound. We still had a few songs needed keys, so that's why I was doing a bit of synth guitar. And at the same time, he never said or play exactly the part that he did. It's like, okay, I'm going to play some string sound, but make a few things sound a bit different on this song. So he was happy when the same song would have some slight different edge. So that was beautiful. And then with time, what made me feel great is that, being creative. He was always such a creative person and eager to learn. So I think this stuck with me a bit, and I'm always eager now to always create more things, and I'm always thinking of the next album, what other collaboration. And I was really excited with my collaboration with Ola. I thought that would be really something special, and it was musically, but things end,
Yeah.
or things don't go for different reasons.
So let me ask you this. What do you like the best about being a professional musician?
Oh, being on stage and feeling that when I play a song, we get people in. If I play, for example, a song about Istanbul, and I'm walking around the city of Istanbul, and the song means that, and I feel people can at some point feel they travel with me for a few minutes. This is great. Yeah, that kind of
So,
thing.
yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. Why do you love this art form we call jazz?
Oh, there's a freedom. There's a freedom on the spot, which is great. First, your freedom to create a lot of type of melodies and bring all these different rhythm, and of course I'm playing jazz, but I don't play much swing or old style or modern jazz as we would say. My I like to almost kind of write song, and then the jazz makes it quite free, where I bring the musician a melody or a harmony and a specific rhythm, but then I'm never expecting people to play exactly what's written there. This is where jazz comes, and they need to feel. Of course, if I play with Turkish music, they will play the way it should be. But playing with Westerners, this type of music, they have their own take on it, or their own way, and that's what I love. And jazz allows that to go crazy and build. Also, I love building momentum on the spot. We play the melody, and then first solo start, and then I would decide, oh, it feels like I'm going to just play with percussion and guitar, and we develop something hopefully, and then suddenly having the violin joining in and the bass or cutting out. So I love that on the spot.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everyone that you collaborate with, play on stage with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Well, oh, I'm this little boy who used to practice hours in his room. No, I love I love traveling, and I love listening to the sound when I travel. If I travel to a different city or with a different culture, I love listening to that city, and very often when I do that, I come home and I write a song which relates a little bit to that that place where I went. So I love doing this. And then that's always the beginning of where we're going. We have a little melody of a place, and then sharing this with the musician I play with. And of course, the musician, he changes sometimes, but it's pretty quick to feel that some musician you really, it doesn't matter of the level of the musician. Sometimes you feel you have storytelling with some guys, and even though another guy would be really good, but sometimes it doesn't feel right, and that's just the way it is.
So let me ask you this. If anyone wants to find out about tours, albums, any of the good news in your world, where's the best place to go?
To my website. It's you can type Nicolas Meier, you will find it, or but the website is www.meiergroup.com, and I put all my music there, and I'm trying to focus for people to get the music from there, because it's also free on my website if they want to listen regularly. But at some point, hopefully, they ship something, they buy a few records or stuff like this so they can keep it. And of course, in our world, Spotify is around and all these things, and we need to use a bit of the tool. But I'm trying to also, through the concerts I do, I'm trying to tell people they should go to the artist page, and I think that's the way to go. But I
Excellent.
know it's a tough one.
Yeah, for sure. So I will put that in the show notes. Nicholas, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you, sir, for your time. I'm so glad that we connected. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and I hope we meet properly someday.
That would be wonderful.